This is the NBC Sports Prudential Update. Now, Ahmad Rashad.
Welcome to our Prudential Update studio in New York. Coming up next, our series of Olympic showcase events continues with a gymnastics competition between the United States and Romania. Former Romanian coach Bela Caroli leads an American squad featuring one of his star pupils, 15-year-old Kim Zmeskal. Following gymnastics at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll bring you women's tennis from the Family Circle Magazine Cup. Today, it's semifinal action. Our featured match will have second seed Gabriela Sabatini taking on third seed Arantxa Sanchez Vicario. Now, at the end of our tennis coverage, we'll hear from the legendary Bjorn Borg. At 34 years old, the five-time Wimbledon champ is attempting a comeback. He'll talk about that as well as some of his well-documented personal problems in a recent interview we've obtained from the BBC in London. Now, someone else who is on the comeback trail is the Pistons all-star guard, Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah has been out of action for more than 2 months following surgery on his wrist. When he first went out, the thought was he wouldn't return during the regular season. But just hours before last night's game with Minnesota, he was given medical clearance and he was in the starting lineup.
And at guard from Indiana University, number 11, Isaiah Thomas.
After missing 32 games, Isaiah played 33 minutes. Here he looked like the Isaiah of old, driving for 2 of his 15 points. What the Pistons missed most was his leadership and his passing. John Sally takes a nice feed for the Jam. Detroit over Minnesota by 19.
It didn't hurt at all. I just noticed that it was real weak at some points, and some periods of the game it would get weak, and but once you start moving around and doing something, you just forgot about it.
He used his left hand and protected it. Obviously, being this many days away or this many games away, to come back in and respond to it, you got to be a little tentative at times. But he's an amazing athlete.
Amazing and effective. The Pistons are simply a different team with Isaiah back. The Pistons have virtually no chance of catching the Bulls, but all the Bulls say that come playoff time, the Pistons with Isaiah are the team to beat. Now, speaking of the Bulls, they were involved in the featured attraction in the NBA last night as David Robinson took the Spurs to Chicago Stadium to take on Michael Jordan and the Bulls. The Bulls were 32-4 at home entering the game. Rod Strickland feeds Sean Elliott for the Jam as the Spurs built a 21-point lead early in the fourth quarter. But the Bulls came back. Michael Jordan had 17 of his game-high 39 in the fourth quarter as the Bulls got within 1. Now down by 3, the Spurs' Terry Cumming tried to ice it at the line. He missed, but Jordan's desperation heave fell short. Spurs win at 110, Bulls 107.
Our defense as a whole was pretty good the entire game. Even though in the fourth they just started isolating on us, Jordan from the top, Pippen from the top. They were dishing out to Hodges and them, but overall I think it was a pretty good effort.
We're not 100% physically. We don't have Presti, and Rod's been really struggling with the flu. But this is a big win because they're playing as well as any team in the league, Chicago.
The Spurs, by the way, are involved in the NBA's best race. Only 1 game separated the 3 teams in the Midwest Division going into last night's action. With the Spurs winning, Utah and Houston look to keep pace. The Rockets beat the Nuggets in Denver as Vernon Maxwell scored 45, including an NBA season-high 8 three-pointers. The Jazz got 31 points and 19 rebounds from the mailman as all 3 Midwest leaders won on the road last night. Now, with 9 games left in the regular season, the Spurs lead the Jazz and the Rockets by a single game. Meanwhile, in the Pacific, Portland won its 9th straight as Terry Porter had 29 points, 6 of 8 from three-point land. The Lakers kept pace as 6 players were in double figures, led by Magic Johnson with 20. The Lakers remain 2.5 behind the Blazers, with Phoenix quickly dropping out of sight. And right now, we're going to drop out of sight and send you to Houston. Enjoy the gymnastics.